everybody, my name's Orange Beanie Guy, and welcome to Bit by Bit. I'm here with my friend Mitchell. Mitchell, how's it going?
Hey everybody, we're back, week 2,
Week
episode
2!
3.
Episode 3!
Other numbers I can't really think
Numbers!
of. But we're here today talking about one of my personal favorite franchises, and I know you have some awkward feelings about the franchise.
I like it. It's good. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I really like it. But we, of course, are talking about Pokemon. We talked about it in our last podcast. There's a new Pokemon RPG coming out on console. Everyone's super stoked about that, but we need to find something for the in-between time. Something to go back and, refresh our memory on Pokemon. Something just to keep us busy until the new Pokemon comes out. And I'm not talking about, the main series, handheld Pokemon, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, so on and so forth. I'm talking Pokemon spin-offs. The ones that, either got a whole lot of love or a whole lot of hate. And today, we're going to start that off by talking about Pokemon Stadium for the N64.
One of everybody's, and I mean everyone, there's not one person in the world that disagrees with me here. It's everyone's absolute favorite.
Oh my god, yes. Are you
It's
kidding me?
so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of good. It's going to be like when this new Pokemon RPG hits, because basically Nintendo is like, hey, it's not an RPG, but here's a main console Pokemon in big 3D graphics. It's no longer 2D. Here you go crazy, and everyone lost their mind. I lost their mind. I didn't even own an N64 at the time, but all my friends who had it, I lived at their house for a couple weeks after this game came out. Let alone the free-to-play where you could kind of make your own team and do that. I personally really enjoyed trying to make a team and run through and beat all the, they have like the tournaments, the gym leaders, and so, the gym leaders are essentially, I'm not going to say totally the same as they are in the game, but it was a difficult challenge to be like, here's my 6 guys, and it's going to run through, all of the elite. Including your rival, and I think you can fight Oak. Don't hold me to that one, though.
I don't remember the end of the game. When I was a kid, my favorite thing to do was to get all 3 legendary birds, Dragonite, Mew, and Mewtwo, and then fight a team of Weedle, Caterpie, and, all the other just pathetic little guys that are...
So you're telling me you unlocked Mewtwo in that game?
I didn't, my friend did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, my friend was really good, actually.
I was going to say, because if I remember correctly, it's, stupidly impossible to unlock any of, the main legendaries in that game. Even so with, Pokemon Stadium 2, I don't think Mewtwo's in it. I don't think Lugia or Ho-Ho are in it. I think you can unlock them, but I don't know if you need to attach, the N64 converter where you throw in the the GBA game to get them on there, or if there's some ridiculous beat all these things in this amount of time with this rank.
Yeah,
that's what I think it was, but I honestly can't remember.
I didn't have to do any of that. I was a spoiled little kid with a big brother who was way better at games than I was at the time, and probably still would be if he played them, but he's off getting a job and things like that.
Didn't think you were going to say job.
Well, there you go.
That's fair, but Pokemon Stadium 2 also has those neat mini games that I always found myself
So
playing
does
with my
one.
younger siblings. Oh, and so does one. The mini games were at least now, back in the day, I'd play with my siblings or any younger family member because it was oh, here's a game we can enjoy. Pokemon's too difficult because they're just mashing buttons and I actually knew Pokemon. But now, whenever I find myself going back to this game, it's normally with a controller in one hand and either a beer or a shot glass in the other when it comes to the mini games, or just Pokemon Stadium in general. I feel like recently I've always been playing it with some sort of brewski in hand, which I think enhances the gameplay.
I would say it enhances a lot of gameplay because to me, when you're playing, a lot of people talk about games like a drinking game to Super Smash or a drinking game to Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
Those are games where you're gonna get your abilities impaired the longer the game goes. Pokemon Stadium, sure, you might slip up and accidentally select the wrong move, but overall, you're gonna stay cognitive enough to choose the right attack.
But those slip-ups are the best thing in history, because when you're really starting to go down the rabbit hole, when the drinks really start hitting you, and you're like, I'm going to use fucking surf and you click Leer, because why the fuck would a Blastoise know Leer? You're just like, no, it's a game ender. And then your friend, aka Priesty, always beats you. Thanks, by the way, for that. I never released that video. I recorded with a buddy a long time ago, and I think I lost the footage, to be honest. It's on my old laptop, which is, really, really crappy, and we're on a bigger Titan PC now. But we recorded some episodes for OBG, but they never saw the light of day. Maybe we can try that again and upload it. I'm not saying it's a promise, but I'm saying it might happen. Or we can play it. I can play it. I'll get drunk and play with Pokemon Stadium with you.
Drunk and play with Pokemon?
I mean, yeah, exactly. What other better game?
So, in your opinion, would you say that Pokemon Stadium 1 or Pokemon Stadium 2 is overall the better game?
2. Without a doubt. And, I mean, okay, I'm sorry, Gen 1ers, but it's nicer to have more I don't think anyone's going to complain about variety. So you're just getting more Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 2. The animation, I'm big animation buff. I was better for the time in that one. Yeah. And overall, it had more of a Nintendo polish. The first one, it was older, it didn't have that, I don't want to say Pokemon shine to it, but they fixed there wasn't any problems with the game. They just literally just kept on polishing it and made it better with Pokemon Stadium 2. Also, it was a gold cartridge, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's right, it was.
It was like one of the 3.
So, the most memorable thing for me of Pokemon Stadium, both of them, outside of mini games, that is probably the announcer. I don't know if you remember his voice. I hear his voice clear as day in my head.
Gosh, I hear him in my nightmares.
Probably once or twice a day. And when I was a kid, I didn't know what super effective and not very effective meant. I didn't know it was based on type. So I kept powerhousing my way through the game with a level 100 Blastoise throwing surf at fucking Pidgeys.
Yes.
And it would every time you just fucking hitting flamethrower on a Squirtle with a Charizard who's level 100, and it says, it's not very effective, as the Squirtle died, pissed me off to no end. Couldn't figure out why he was taunting me when I was beating all of my opponents handedly.
Oh gosh, that's adorable.
It wasn't until later that I figured out typing was a very important part of Pokemon, and continues to be until this day.
Honestly, because I find myself going back to either dabble in or play the older gens, I get really confused with the typing in the sense of what works against what. Because with all the newer ones, the new types they've thrown in there, just everything is confusing for me. And I guess this could be a good segue, especially when I play Pokemon Showdown. The types just completely go over my head because I always jump in with random battles on that.
Oh yeah.
Browser, and it's just I don't even know who this Pokemon is because I played X and Y a long time ago and Sun and Moon came out and I'm just like, what the hell is this weird looking Space Lion? I never played with Space Lion. I played with Pyroar, the male one. Yeah, but the female one was cool. I had a female one called Nala, male one called Simba. Didn't use Simba. The female one was better. I don't know where I'm going with this. Pokemon Showdown!
Pokemon Showdown, for those who don't know, is an online site you can go to where you can pick random teams, create your own team with specific moves, abilities, hold items, everything that you can do in a regular game, but it's all based around battling and creating your perfect team without having to IV train and EV train. And for those of you who don't know what those are, you really don't want to. They're complex and really, really frustrating. And the only people that really do it are ones that are dedicated,
that are winning the tournaments or participating in tournaments.
And neither of us are doing that because while we like video games, we also like women.
Whoa! Whoa! Mitchell!
I'm not saying they're gay. I'm saying they've never touched a woman.
No, stop! We're gonna get in trouble!
Fine, cut out everything from 9 minutes to 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
That audio, Jesus Christ. No, I'm not cutting it out. Don't you know we don't edit this podcast except for whenever I mention your last name, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to have to go back and edit this.
We have to edit out what I just said.
No. For those, I'm not editing that out. For those who enjoy Pokemon, the battling aspect and really don't like the story, running around doing the training, grinding, you really just like to jump into a game and play, I completely recommend Pokemon Showdown. It's another great way just to kind of test your skills against your friends. All you need to do is make an account, nothing crazy, just name, email, and it's like, okay, cool, we have something to go off of. Your friends can make an account. You go into a chat room, click on the name, click challenge, and that can be set up as random battle. You can set it up as different tiers, like I don't know them all. It's like overused, underused. You can set specifics to it if you want to, like, challenge yourselves. You can do, like we said earlier, you can completely make your own team and not worry about any of the rules. Personally, if anything, if you're just getting into Pokemon and don't know much about it, jump into Pokemon Showdown and just get the battling aspect in. You can go through all the Pokemon on there, so you get to look at all their sprites, see all their moves, see the ones you like. I give it a shot. For anyone out there.
For those of you who are really a complete picky neat freak like myself and hate having any losses on your record, the best part about it is you can just keep making accounts.
Do you really?
You can lose all the time.
Oh, God.
And I just make a new account, and then that account doesn't have losses.
Well, why would you care? It's just random battles.
Because I have to be better than strangers on the internet because I'm pathetic.
There's nothing wrong with being competitive, because in the right circumstance or the right game, I too am also competitive. But I don't even know what my score is on. It's like you start out in 2,000 and you like go up like 5 points every match. I honestly don't.
It's every match that you win, though, right?
Yeah, it's like every match you win, and every match you lose more than 5, something like that.
It's. I mean, it's basic ELO stuff that you'd find with a lot of other games.
Yeah.
At chess, where ELOs come from,
Yeah,
things like League of Legends, Overwatch, stuff like that. Any competitive thing like that, you're gonna find an ELO, and it's so hard to climb and so easy to fall.
But it's kind of nice. Like, you start off with the people. Like we said earlier, for those that don't know, you can jump in, and they'll put you at that low level. You're probably playing people that who don't play Pokemon a whole lot. And as you keep winning, you eventually get on to people that are gonna give you a challenge, and then you can go on from there.
Yeah.
It's basically everything that Mitchell just said. But that's not the only Pokemon spin-off game that we have for you, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this.
I think you covered the only 3 possible times they could be listening to.
There's more than...
Night, morning, or evening. I'm pretty sure you hit it.
The lunar eclipse. That's a time.
I think that's a specific celestial event more than a time.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. All right, Mitchell, why don't you decide on a game we can go
So, looking at our list here, I want to go over one that was always one of my
Don't tell them we have a list! They already know we're ADHD. We need the list.
We do need
now
the
they know
list.
we look at a list everything. God, this is ruined.
The curtain...
It's over. They know.
The curtain's been pulled back and the wizard has been revealed. That was a Wizard of Oz reference. Couldn't watch that movie as a kid. Saw it as a child. Saw the flying monkeys. Never watched it until I was like 18 years old. I'm 100% serious. Terrifies me to this day.
Flying monkeys?
But horrifying. They ripped a man apart. Well, Scarecrow, but man-ish. So Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap was a lot of people's most beloved game. I know it was, and you ruined
Look
it.
at Scarecrow getting ripped apart. Pokemon Snap. Oh, jeez. Okay.
Pokemon Snap was a lot of people's most beloved game on the N64. It was definitely one of mine.
Total.
You really just got to live out a completely different adventure than all those that had come before. Pokemon Stadium was great. It gave you the battling aspect. Your handhelds were fun. A lot of stuff like that. But Pokemon Snap really just took it in a completely different direction where, as the name would imply, you snap pictures of Pokemon. In different ways, you get different points based on if they're doing something like fighting or running, or Pikachu could do a lot of weird special stuff like ride a surfboard. You got stuff like that, you got graded on it, and the better you did grade-wise, you got to level up to new levels or discover them yourselves using the unlockables in the game.
Or, that's all cool, or you could just go to the volcano level. Go to the big rock. Don't push the rock. It might be I don't know. There's a point in the game where you can stop, and then you just toss apples over on the cliffside, and then Charmanders just start coming.
That's
from
right.
every which direction, and then you have a small following of Charmanders, and then you pull out the Pokeflute, and they start dancing in your honor, and you have your own Charmander cult. That's at least what I always did. I always played out my sick fantasies in that game. That's That's me, at least.
Frankly, to me, if your sickest fantasy is having Charmanders dance to you, you're
Cult.
a relative.
Charmander cult.
Well, fair enough. I
Not
mean, if we
just
want to
dancing.
get down to the nitty gritty of things,
They
sure.
bow down to me.
Anyway,
But, we're like Pokemon Snap's a great game.
So
there's really,
good.
honestly, there's not a whole lot about to say to it. You take pictures of Pokemon. It's great, different locations, tons of Pokemon you can take pictures of. The end of the game's kind of stupid because the Mew never gives. Well, that's a spoiler. The Mew never gives you enough points to be anywhere close to like the highest photo you've taken. So like the thing you've been building up to is just pointless in my opinion. I didn't think the end of it was all that great, but I think everyone kind of ranted about this at some point in time, and I don't know if Wii U ever came out and like made a statement on it. But personally, having a game like Pokemon Snap where everyone's super nostalgic about it, I'm not going to say it's a fantastic game, but it definitely played an important role in all the 90s kids' childhoods. But why didn't they make a Pokemon Snap for the Wii U? Why didn't they make something Snap related for the Wii U? Of all the things, there's very few things that came out decent on the Wii U. I think Pokemon Snap would have been its saving grace.
I think I could name on one hand the things that came out on the Wii U that were like really, really stand out. Like Mario Kart 8, Skyward Sword, enough people liked, although it had some problems.
You really now.
I mean, fair enough, but
this is your opinion.
I mean, regardless, I completely agree. I think Pokemon Snap would have been really, really easily adaptable to a thing like the Wii U. I mean, for God's sakes, you literally had a fucking controller that kind of looked like a digital camera screen that you could have moved around and caught pictures or snapped pictures. It would have been perfect. It seemed as if it was designed for it. We all called for it.
Yeah, I was like, everyone was like, "Oh, Pokemon Snap, it's gonna come. It's gonna be the best thing on the Wii U," and then nothing. Literally nothing. I don't know what Nintendo is thinking. Maybe they're saving it for the Switch, because I see that like the Switch could still do that. Maybe that's going to be some aspect with this new RPG that's going to come out. Maybe instead of like throwing Pokeballs, it's going to be pictures. I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the box. I just think, if anything, Wii U should have totally jumped on the Pokemon Snap train. It would have been so much more successful. Maybe not in console sold, but at least with that game, it would have made them a little bit more money. I can name like. I honestly can't name any of the games because the Wii U was bad.
It
but
really was.
It would have been so much better than anything they put out there. There are a couple good games, like we said before. There's a couple that we could probably name on one hand, but Pokemon Snap.
But one hand.
Yeah,
That's not very good.
Yeah,
I think the
one hand.
Switch is already. I mean, just looking at the Switch. I mean, Splatoon 2, which granted the Wii U had Splatoon, but
Okay,
Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, ARMS.
But are we talking Switch?
Now we're talking Switch. I mean,
Okay. The
Switch doesn't even, like, not saying it's going to be a great game, but Mario Odyssey looks pretty good already.
yeah.
Like, Metroid 4,
There you
Prime
go.
4. Like, I mean, that's already 5 right there. They only have to hit one more, and they've beaten their worst console of all time, maybe.
And that's going to be Pokemon, the new RPG
there
that's
you
coming
go.
out.
They've
Okay.
already done it.
Let's take a moment and try to name some good games on the Wii U. Or, like, the ones that are good. I can go ahead and say Smash Brothers. I had a great time with all my
that's
friends playing with
right.
it. They had that. They had Smash U, which a ton of, I guess, devout Smash players are not crazy about it. But personally, I love Little Mac. I think he was a nice addition.
Project M for life, y'all.
Well, that's like a ROM. I don't even
Doesn't
know.
have to be canonical as long as I can play it.
Okay, fine. There, that's fair. So Smash Brothers. Is it Pikmin 3? Was that what it was?
Pikmin 3 came out, wasn't super well received.
Oh, it wasn't. See, I'm
received well enough.
I'm a bit of a Pikmin fanboy, so I'll throw that on my hand. Pikmin. See, now I'm struggling with it. Super Mario Maker. That
there
was
it is.
good.
That's one of the ones. I've actually, full disclosure, I actually couldn't even do it myself. He named much more than I could have, so I actually had to go online and look up games.
All right, what we
and
got?
you've hit all the main ones. The top 3 when you look up Wii U games. Smash Bros, Mario Kart 8, which we mentioned
all right,
earlier.
yeah.
Super Mario 3D World, the one where you dress as a cat, didn't look great to me.
Okay, it's a fun family game, and like all the new, or the more recent, I guess, Mario World games, I guess you can say. Anything past, I'd say, Mario 64 has been very, 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 like, family, like child oriented. Where like, so in that game, if you die a lot of times, there's like an ultimate invincibility. It's like the white Tanuki suit, where you just run through the game and you can't die unless you fall off, which is just like, okay, this was totally marketed towards kids, which, I mean, obviously it is because Nintendo is marketing more towards kids. They're not looking at, 20 plus whatever year olds and being like, who's going to really love this? But
broke college kids.
Broke college kids are going to love this game. It'd be enjoyable to play it. I wouldn't say it was a good game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say
I'd agree. Next one's up, Mario Maker. You mentioned
Yep.
one that we're actually going to talk about a little bit later, so I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Oh,
with that
yeah.
description, But Paper Mario Color Splash. There hasn't been a good Paper Mario, arguably since Thousand Year Door. Others would disagree, but Nintendo Land, which was I think a console release title.
It's like
fun.
Wii Sports. It's like Wii Play or Wii Sports, which it's like the gimmick. I'd say it's a gimmick, and I'm sure people had fun with it. But by no means a really good game for the Wii U.
And then
what else is there?
Just a couple others to list. Bayonetta 2, which a lot of people liked. Some things like Donkey Kong Country. I think Tropical Freeze was released.
All right, I can appreciate a platformer.
Yeah,
I'll throw that on the hand. So we're at 4 now.
And then, honestly, the biggest thing that the Wii U had going for it was a virtual console. Gave you things like HD Wind Waker, but again, you didn't necessarily need the Wii U to do that.
Exactly.
You could always have just gone back and played Wind Waker, which, don't get me wrong, the HD Wind Waker is better.
Oh, yeah,
it really
totally
is. It makes the game a lot more fluid and a lot prettier. But, all in all, how we got on this tangent anyway was Pokemon Snap could have been, if not a saving grace, could have been a breath of fresh air back into a series that has kind of become stagnant in many ways for the past couple of years, with a couple of breakouts here and there, but really could have helped the Wii U a lot.
Well, now you mentioned, and this kind of gets me thinking about maybe they were testing for something in the future, because I never played Sun and Moon, but wasn't there a, camera-esque feature in there?
So, one of the things you could do in Sun and Moon was there were certain walls and cracks in walls, or looking through the bars of a fence, or portions of the game where you could very much tell that you were supposed to walk up to them, and when you did, you were able to use your Pokedex, which I think was a Rotom. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah,
it was a strange portion of the game. You could use it and turn them into a camera and snap different pics, and when you did that, you got new features unlocked, similar to Pokemon Snap. If you got enough points off of one picture, you got the ability to zoom in and out. If you got more points on another picture, you got the you were able to hold more so that you could continue to get more points. It was a small, very, very cut down version of Pokemon Snap that really just...
Did it, give you anything? Or is it just, a kind of a fun, take a picture of a Pokemon, share it with your friends?
Mainly that.
Oh, it was, there was really no reward for...
It was a horrible disappointment.
Well, there you go. Maybe, but who knows? Maybe they're using Pokemon Go, that thing on the 3DS, and trying to figure out something for this future Pokemon RPG.
It was a horrible disappointment on top of what was otherwise a fantastic game.
Oh, there you go. That's fair. But while we're on the subject of the Wii U, let's talk about the last and 5th game we consider to be very... we consider it good. Playable, there we go. And that's Pokken, which I think's kind of like a cross between Tekken. I was not really sure exactly how that was.
Pokken is an experimental game that the Nintendo company came out with, where it was a cross between the developers of Tekken, which, for those of you who don't know, is a series of fighting games similar to Street Fighter, Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat, but it's more, I would compare it mostly to Soul Calibur, and that it's more three-dimensional, that you can continue to move sideways.
Yeah, it's like an arcade fighter.
Yeah, it's an arcade fighter in many ways, but it was based around fighting Pokemon. Well, it was supposed to be based around usually fighting-type Pokemon, or Pokemon that looked like they could fight something.
But then they just kind of threw in whatever they wanted to.
Yeah, at the end, so they released the first thing, and it was Lucario versus Machamp, which makes perfect sense. They're two
both fighting
humanoid-looking things, fighting type. They look like they could throw a punch. It'd be great. And the next thing you got was a Pikachu fighting, I believe, a Suicune?
Yeah, there was
don't know why
Suicune
Suicune was in it, but all in all, I never got to personally play the game myself, but I've watched tons and tons of footage of it because it looked so much fun. They held plenty of tournaments. A lot of people had a really good time with it. And to me, it just seems like a heck of a lot of fun. But again, really branches away from.
For the people that are, really into Pokemon, I could see it being something really fun. But personally, I think I'd rather pick up the latest Tekken game or pick up Smash or pick off. There's a lot of fighting games that I'd pick up over Pokken. I played it maybe once or twice, and when I say once or twice, I mean rounds. I was just at a friend's house, and he's like, "You want to try this?" I'm like, "Cool." And then he didn't teach me how to play and kicked my ass, which could be one of the reasons why I don't like the game, is I really didn't have a chance to give it a chance, I guess. If I had a Wii U, I'm sure I'd enjoy it, but I think there's a ton of better fighters on much older consoles that I'd pick over that, aka the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi Budokai something. I don't know.
Those names just got longer and longer as the series
But they were
went
good
on.
games.
Great games.
They were good games.
Fun games. Great games.
You're mentioning, I want to just touch upon the Pokemon they had, because you said they started that with fighters, and right now, because I pulled it up, they got Blaziken. I'm okay with that.
It's a fighting.
Blaziken's cool.
Fighting
He was basically everyone's favorite in the 3rd gen. We got Garchomp, who's Dragon, and I don't know if it's Dragon Ground, but that's I kind of give it to him. I could see him being a fighting guy, even though he's still a dragon. We got Machamp, obviously. We have Pikachu Libre. And that was like a weird gimmick on X and Y where you could dress up a Pikachu.
No, it wasn't X and Y. It was
it was X and Y.
No, it was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Oh, was it?
You've got to learn your game.
I honestly completely forgot about Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I played that game too, but I just
played the shit out of that game.
I mean, it was okay. I don't know.
3rd gen is amazing.
3rd gen's the one that was that game came out when it was appropriate. I say appropriate.
Yeah.
When it was appropriate for me to play.
Absolutely.
I keep saying I'm a Gen 2er, but I put the most hours in Gen 3. I put stupid amounts of hours in that game until my internal battery ran dry. I think I ended up selling it to somebody, which I kind of regret. I'm honestly going back now trying to find Game Boys, Game Boy Advances, and all the old games to live that nostalgia. But
I'm fairly certain I have every Game Boy going back except for the original brick that big ass fucker.
Just the Game Boy, not the black and white one.
Oh yeah. But they released the Game Boy. They released a smaller version followed by the Color. They released the Game Boy Pocket, which I have, the Game Boy Color, which I have, the Game Boy Advanced, which I have, the Game Boy SP, got it, Nintendo DS, got it, Nintendo, the newer Nintendo DS had it, skipped the DSi, never got into it, and then picked up a Nintendo 3DS, and now have a new Nintendo 3DS. I don't really consider the 2DSs because they're the same thing. But
I never pegged you for such a handheld gamer.
Yeah, I played a shit ton when I was a kid. Long car rides, long days. Sometimes you just needed to pick up your Game Boy as a kid and play the shit out of some Pokemon.
I remember plenty of times of just my family would be going down to some state that's far away. Let's say Florida. It was Florida, and and I'd start a new game on Pokemon, and I played all the way down. And by the time I got down, I'd beaten the elite, or at least I was right there.
Yeah.
And on the way back, I'd finish it or level up whatever guys I needed to. And even now, I think the last time I drove back from Florida, I had Pokemon on a emulator, and you could speed it up too, which makes it so much more fun.
So much faster.
Because we know what's going. We played Pokemon a million times, and being able to speed it up and get to the juicy bits, that's the best thing. That's the great part about the emulator.
Emulators. So, that's a little thing we can touch on that we have on our incredible list that you all can't
emulations?
See. Emulations.
Well, it's going to be kind of hard. You got to do a little bit more digging. You can't just type in, Ruby, ROM, Game Boy Advanced emulator, because Nintendo's come to a lot of these emulation websites and really came down on them, being like, hey, we're going to sue your ass if you don't take our games and our consoles off your website. So, the ones I used Cool ROMs for a long time. They got shut down 3 years ago, I want to say. And then I was using Emulation Paradise or Emu Paradise, whatever it was.
Sounds like a website dedicated to an Australian bird.
Yeah, I mean, that's another website that you can also... if you misclick, you'll also find that website.
Oh, well, there it is.
But they just recently, like, I want to say within this year, got shut down. So, anyone out there that knows a good website to find some Pokemon emulations, let me know. But there are tons out there. You can go back and replay all the nostalgia that you remember, all the gens. But personally, I think you should go out into the fan-made games. There are so many fan-made Pokemon games. Not all of them are good. Some of them are like, there's one called Derpizard, where it's basically Pokemon Ruby, but literally every single Pokemon, every single character, you yourself are a Charizard. Everything's Charizard. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And it's like, oh, if you level up to level 100, what does the Charizard turn into? It turns into a Magikarp. Thank you, Derpizard. You are truly one of the worst ROM hacks I've seen.
I mean, I hate to disagree with you, but that sounds...
Oh, you shut your mouth! It's so
hilarious.
Stupid. You would literally play a full game of Charizards.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, it's Charizard. It's like the Charizard sprite, but May, your rival, still has a Torchic. So like when you fight it, it's like scratch and growl or something like that. So basically, it's all different types of Pokemon, but it's got the Charizard sprite, and you don't know what the hell it is.
I love Charizard. I do. He's my favorite. And
is he really?
He is. And I'll play a game solely dedicated to him and a level 100 Magikarp.
Guys, look for the future, a Let's Play of Derpizard. It's going to be really fun. Might as well just stream it because I don't want that trash.
Yeah, I don't want to do it, honestly, now that you mention it.
Thank God.
But...
Get out there. Find a fan-made game. There's tons of great fan-made games, and it spices up Pokemon a bit. You get to see what the true fans of this game series can do for the game. One, I can't remember the name, but I believe one fan game that's been in the works for like 5 years just got shot down by Nintendo, but you could all probably do some digging on that. Go out and play fan-made games. That's all I got to say on that. Fan-made games.
Fan-made games are super fun, and they usually pick up on a lot more themes and ideas than Nintendo is afraid to really delve into for their childhood games. I mean, there was one that I saw my friend play where it addresses the fact that your father has abandoned you.
Oh.
Whereas every other game refuses to acknowledge it and just says, yeah, your dad's gone, or just never talks about him. This one really addresses, yeah, your dad left you, and your character is pretty emotionally broken because of it.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily make the game.
I don't want to play that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. Cool. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but...
For anyone out there listening, do some digging, because I totally am going to forget this after this podcast goes up. So do some digging, put some emulations or put some ROMs of Pokemon games that you think we would like to play, or that you'd like to see us play in the comments down below, and maybe we'll play it and put it on our channel. I don't know how Mitchell feels about that, but I'm always down for a Pokemon game or two.
I'm good for whatever comes our way, honestly. You know what's one console we just didn't even address?
What?
I think it's because neither of us had one. Or maybe you did. The GameCube. I
did have a GameCube. I had it after the Wii came out because, you know, the budget that we live on.
Yeah.
But you're talking about like the Coliseum games?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those. The only time I played Pokemon Coliseum was when it was in the McDonald's Play Place and they actually had GameCubes in there. Oh
God, the greatest thing McDonald's ever did besides making those chicken snack wraps, which again, not sponsored by McDonald's, but
hey, McDonald's sponsor us.
I want to throw some bucks my way to grab some of those addictive chicken snack wraps. I wouldn't mind it. But the McDonald's play area where you could play a GameCube. The first time I ever played Super Smash Bros. Melee was
really?
in a McDonald's.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
McDonald's doing good things for us.
Doing good things for the world. Except for that horrible, other stuff that's probably happening.
We're not going to talk about it. But back to Pokemon Coliseum.
But back to Coliseum.
You played, honestly, I know very little information. I don't know if you've played these. I just remember in Pokemon Coliseum, you were kind of this, like, edgy teenager dude that had an Umbreon and Espeon. Personally, I think everyone wanted to be that edgy dude being that Umbreon and Espeon. And there's a story. I'm sure it's a good story, but I never really played that one. because I never got it for the GameCube at the time.
From what I can vaguely remember of both Coliseum and XD is that essentially you're actually taking Pokemon from others. Granted, they're bad people, but there's a very specific set of Pokemon that you can. I think it calls it nabbing or snatching. I don't even remember, both of which sound inappropriate. But you take Pokemon that have essentially been brainwashed, and you bring them over to your side and like heal them of that brainwashing, keeping them on your team and helping you defeat essentially a Team Rocket spinoff that every one of the Pokemon games has always had.
Oh yeah,
but it was fun. They were fun. They were a unique thing. They're solely double battle based, so there's no there's no single battles, I believe, within the entire game that I can remember. At least with XD, I know there's not. But for any of you that want to go out and play it, just ditch that Umbreon the minute you can.
Seriously?
Ditch him from your team. Stats aren't worth your time. Espeon can be a powerhouse, can attack. Umbreon's basically solely defense and special defense. I mean, he can be a tank, but there's so many better tanks within the game, actually.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna say I used to really like Umbreon until I got competitive. Then it's like, oh, you really can't do much except be a defensive tank. Which you need a defensive tank, but as you're saying, there are much better tanks that you can pick from. So
pick a Shuckle up.
Pick a fucking Shuckle.
He can't do anything, but there's that one thing you can do, and I can't remember the words for the life of me because, again, I'm not very good at competitive Pokemon battling. You can actually switch attack and defense and special attack and special defense stats.
Like Shell Smash?
Something.
I think it's Shell Smash, and then you take like an herb of some kind, and it like takes away like the deductions. It's really good. Pick up a Shuckle.
Anyway,
really nice.
He has the highest single base stat of anything ever. He has the highest you can possibly get a defense or a special defense. You swap it up, you make it his attack, and as long as you have some ability to make him go first, like a quick attack, they're done for, and there's not really much they can do. But it's a risky play to make because you got to have a lot of things go your way.
That's true. I'll give you that one.
But again, I don't really, unfortunately, have much to say about Coliseum and XD. There's a couple more that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey You Pikachu, which we were watching footage of.
No, we're not talking about that game. It was a cool idea, but it doesn't work. No. Don't play Hey You Pikachu. It was a great idea for the 90s. Don't. It's not worth. I don't even know how much the controller for that game's worth now, but I'm sure it's like $100+, and there's no way I'm going to have to play that.
It did produce one of my favorite memes of the entire like internet, which is there's a portion of the game where you have a potted plant in your house, and Pikachu can notice it, and it just says, Pikachu noticed the weed, and somebody commented, like, I feel you, Pikachu, like, I'm the exact same. And to me, like, that's just way to take a family-friendly game like Hey You Pikachu and reference drug culture, internet.
Oh, gosh.
You never cease to make me laugh or horrify me greatly. Which this one made me laugh, so it's fine.
Okay, that actually makes me want to play.
Yeah, I know. Just to see him notice the weed, and then after that we can say, gotcha, you're going to jail. Marijuana's ruining this country and the entire Kanto region.
Sends Pikachu to jail, ends game.
Ends game. For those of you who don't know, that was the secret ending that you could unlock.
Alright, let's just barely touch upon. We have a couple more on our ADHD list, but they're ones to look into. They weren't crazy popular, but me personally, I had a good time with at least two of them. I never played the third one. We're talking Pokemon Pinball. They also made a spin-off version for like the third gen, but if you just need something to kill time, what's better than play pinball and, throw in your favorite franchise Pokemon? Great time killer. Did you ever play that, Mitchell?
I did. I played a little bit of that. I also played, there was a Sonic pinball as well, which I was
Sonic was good
down
too.
to clown with. I mean, I can remember countless hours growing up playing that old space pinball game that was on, like,
on the computer? Yeah.
So I'd do that. If I found a real machine, I mean, I could throw way too many quarters at it.
Throw some ball.
So I could throw some ball. I could pin some ball, but Pokemon Pinball was really fun. It brings in a lot of your characters. I mean, overall, there's not really
pinball.
Too much. It's pinball.
Yeah.
It's pinball. and there's a Pikachu face.
That's all you need.
What more do you need? Like, pinball's fun.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
I don't know why I said fuck you. Next on the list of our ADHD list is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. It was a Game Boy Advance game. It's very story-driven. Concept was great. You start off the game by answering a bunch of questions, and then the game decides which Pokemon you want to be. And the game was like, well, Noah, you get to be a Bulbasaur. And you know what I said? I said, fuck you, game. I'm taking this quiz over until I get what I want. And I didn't get anything good. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be the worst person possible when it comes to these answers. And I got Trico. And Trico was a fucking boss, and I loved him. But getting back to the gameplay, it's a story-driven dungeon crawler-esque game. You run around trying to save Pokemon from dungeons, hence the game, and there's a little bit of a plot to it. It's a ton of hours to play the game. And I only played, I think it was Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team.
I was Blue Rescue Team, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
so,
fuck you.
well, fair enough. But yeah, actually, first time. There was more than just the Game Boy. There were several. There was one
Yeah,
for
they
DS
made it.
and-
Yeah, the
yeah. I mean,
DS.
they continue. They just made a new one, I think, for 3DS. But you know, I don't have the time or money to do those things. And
Yeah, I'd pick one up. It's another, like, if you don't have a whole lot of time, maybe you just have an hour and you want to progress the story, pick up Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, whether, I don't want to say emulate, but, you know, budgets, so do what you need to do.
We're not. Quick disclaimer: we are not telling anyone to do anything illegal.
No, personally, I prefer to actually hold, I like
He
having
loves
it.
to just hold
Yeah, I
that
just like
in his hand.
I just want to hold Pokemon. I just want it to be in my palm. I just need. Okay, enough of that. Pokemon Art Academy. It's a DS
Never
game,
played
and
it.
literally no one knows what it is. It's
Never heard of
literally
it.
just some random professor and I guess a side student. I don't even know. They're like, hey, you want to learn how to draw Pokemon? And you're like, sure. And it shows you a picture of a Squirtle and takes you step by step how to draw pictures of Squirtle. Now, you can do that, or you can just make some sort of crazy creation. That's all up to you. If you're into drawing, or if you want to practice your drawing, pick up Pokemon Art Academy.
Another fun thing you can do for a lot cheaper is go on the internet and print off a picture of a Squirtle and draw it yourself.
I mean...
Be productive. You're a member of society. Don't live off welfare.
I mean, yeah, but, you know...
So, probably the
Wait,
last
what?
one...
What was that last
Probably the
sentence you
last one we're going to go off of and really harp in on a lot here. The big... sweeping the nation sensation for the iPhone, for Android, for whatever you want, Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah.
Just, wow.
Well, it
Hit
had-
the world by storm.
Oh my god, it like exploded Pokemon stocks. It was ridiculous at the time.
Which was really strange because, what is the original designer's name? They're a subsidiary
Oh.
of Google. Nintendo had nothing to do with it except for lending out a copyright license.
Oh,
They
really?
had literally nothing to do with the game. So the game is actually based off of a different game made by the same Niantic.
Oh, yeah, Niantic.
Yeah, so
that, yeah.
Niantic had another game which was exactly the same, essentially, as Pokemon Go, except not reskinned for Pokemon, which is why all those Pokestops already existed, as in the previous game. You were able to create them and submit them to their team, and they would suggest them. It was all based out of Google Maps, because, again, this was a subsidiary owned by Google. Nintendo said, hey, let's make $1 billion. So they lent out their copyright to one game and did just that. Their stocks, I think, tripled, quadrupled in like 2 days. They fell a little bit, but half the world was too stupid to realize, like, oh shit, Nintendo didn't even make this, and they didn't have to. Every kid in the world now knew what a Pikachu was, whether you were 2 years old, whether you were 17 years old. I say that
Yep.
because of the definition of kid, but I mean, their toys sold, their games sold, everything sold like hotcakes.
It was really, I'll give it this, it had a very short life in the sense that it exploded for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then, you know, people started to trail off, and then they brought back Gen 2 in there, or a few Gen 2 Pokemon, and a couple people came back, but it did something, it made me, like, when I knew this game came out, I hadn't played it. When I downloaded it, I was just like sitting in my room, and like a Pidgey or a Weedle popped up, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can see him on the video, and I'm capturing him. And I was like, I need to move around to get him, but I'm not going to walk around my house. The game made me at like 12 o'clock at night get on my bike that I hadn't rode since I was like in 8th grade, and I rode around my neighborhood finding Pokestops, finding Pokemon by myself. There was no one else with me, and I was having the time of my life. In all honesty, like, I mean, I still enjoy it. I mess with it every now and again, but those 2 weeks where you literally had people just like in the streets, like big groups of people, like that was like a date. That was a thing you did with your friends. You got like tens of hundreds of people together and said, let's go catch Pokemon. That was the coolest thing ever. And to see like society be able to come together over a stupid thing like Pokemon, and not just like the people that are into games, like moms, dads, children, people that had never heard of Pokemon came together for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Where I work in the downtown area of a city, and there was a small park near us, and I still go there almost every day to eat my lunch, and now I see almost no one. A couple people sitting at a picnic table enjoying their lunch. When that game came out, which was in the height of summer, my God, I saw dozens and dozens of people because that park happened to be the location of 3 or 4 Pokestops, all where you could use all 3 in one spot.
And you can, sorry, not to interrupt, you could put like lures out. You could help people. You could be literally like, I'm dropping a lure here, so all the Pokemon came. And literally everyone could just take turns sitting around the lure getting Pokemon. It was beautiful. I
saw dads. I saw my coworkers playing the game. I know you don't know my coworkers, Noah, or listeners. They don't play Pokemon games.
I know what your coworkers. I know what they look.
They're adults. And don't get me wrong. Technically, I mean, by legal definition, I'm an adult too. But these are adults.
Adults.
These are people with children, people with mortgages. And they were out there pretending to catch digital Pokemon, digital monsters, if one would say. Somebody should make that. That'd be a
Digimon
digital monster.
Oh my God, I would lose my mind.
No, like just the idea of a digital monster.
What? Oh,
like they should make a series or a game out of that.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if someone picked up on that, they could possibly almost make a lot of money, but then be snuffed out by some bigger company. But we're not going to mention what that other bigger company could be. Who knows what it could be?
I think we've been talking about that bigger company, and I think the one you're referencing is Digimon. And don't get me wrong, I love Digimon a lot. I did, but it just wasn't as good. You didn't start off as a game franchise and delve into anime. You started as some weird little anime, which I liked as a kid, don't get me wrong, and then you started making games. You went backwards.
What's a Digimon?
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to wrap up this podcast. Guys, thank you so much for watching. For those listening on different things, you can find us on YouTube at Orange Beanie Guy, or you can find us on SoundCloud at Bit by Bit Podcast, I believe is what it is. Honestly, can't remember the name. If you want to get some updates on when we're going to be posting videos, follow the Orange Beanie Guy Instagram. And I don't know if Mitchell has any sort of fucking social media that you want to promote. I don't think so. There's also a Tumblr. You can follow the Orange Beanie Guy Tumblr. There's not a whole lot of updates in regards to games, because Tumblr, but if you want to check out some cool art, go to the Orange Beanie Guy Tumblr. And that's the last thing I got to say about that. Mitchell, you have any last notes you'd like to touch upon?
Yeah, just a couple of last notes to give out. Thank you again for everyone who watched last week, everyone who listened, anybody who downloaded the podcast from SoundCloud, anyone who follows us on SoundCloud. That's super, super cool of you to do. We're just two little idiots trying to make it on the internet because we think it's fun.
Exactly. Every like, every comment, every view, even you all just reaching out to us saying, hey, good job, we really like this, means the world to us. So please,
it really does.
Don't be afraid to reach out to us. Don't be afraid to say something. Don't be afraid to share this with your ma. Maybe your ma's going to like it, and maybe your ma's going to show it to a head of a company, and then maybe we're going to make it big, but probably not.
I would imagine not. What is the head of a company going to do with a low-rate podcast?
I mean, I don't know, probably buy us out. We could become sellouts.
Oh, yeah.
We'd not even make it big, just immediately become sellouts.
If there's any CEOs listening out there, I can tell you right now, we are all for selling out. We have no artistic integrity. So, thanks again for watching or listening.
Bye-bye! I know, it's still recording!